You don't marry a female mafia boss because you fall in love. You marry her because she decides you will, and refusal isn't part of the available options. Here's what that actually looks like. You're 28 American, working as a logistics coordinator for an import-export company in Newark. The job is boring but legitimate, which is exactly what you wanted after spending your 20s watching your father work construction until his body gave out. You've got a studio apartment, a car that starts most mornings, and a girlfriend named Sarah who teaches third grade and talks about moving to Vermont someday to open a bed and breakfast. Your life has the structural integrity of IKEA furniture, but it's yours and it's legal and nobody's trying to kill you. Then you meet Valentina Russo at a warehouse inspection in Elizabeth. She's there because her family owns the building. You're there because your company is considering a lease. She's 32, dressed like she walked out of a Milan Fashion Week, and when she shakes your hand, her grip is firm enough to remind you that softness is a choice she's making, not a condition she's born with. The inspection takes 40 minutes. She spends 38 of them asking you questions that sound like small talk, but feel like a deposition. Where are you from? What does your family do? Do you have siblings? Are you seeing anyone? You answer because refusing seems rude, and rude seems dangerous in ways you can't articulate yet. Your company doesn't take the lease. You think that's the end of it? You're wrong. She shows up at your office 3 days later with espresso from a cafe you've never heard of and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. She wants to discuss another property. You're not the person who handles property decisions. She knows this. She's here anyway. Your boss, a man who's worked in logistics for 30 years and doesn't scare easily, takes one look at her and tells you to take the meeting. The meeting is lunch at a restaurant in Hoboken, where the menu has no prices and the staff treats her like visiting royalty. She orders for both of you. The food is incredible. The conversation is pleasant. She laughs at your jokes, asks about your work, mentions she'd love to see you again. Everything about this feels wrong in a way that your nervous system understands before your brain catches up. You tell Sarah about it that night. She thinks it's funny. Rich lady has a crush on you. How cute. You don't correct her because explaining the texture of the wrongness would require admitting you felt it, and admitting you felt it would mean acknowledging that some part of you is already scared. Valentina calls you directly the next morning. Your number is unlisted. You ask how she got it. She doesn't answer the question. She asks if you're free for dinner Friday. You say you have plans with your girlfriend. She says that's fine. Bring her along. It's not a suggestion. Friday, you and Sarah arrive at a steakhouse in Montclair. Valentina's already there, seated at a corner table with a man built like a refrigerator standing 6 feet away trying to look inconspicuous and failing completely. Sarah is nervous but excited. She's never been somewhere this nice. Valentina's charming, warm, asks Sarah about teaching, compliments her dress, orders a bottle of wine that costs more than your monthly car payment. Halfway through dinner, Valentina's hand lands on your knee under the table. Not accidentally. Deliberately. Sarah is talking about her students. Valentina is looking at you. Her hand doesn't move. The message is clear and it's not subtle. You shift in your seat. The hand stays. You're being claimed in front of your girlfriend by a woman who operates on rules you don't understand yet, but are beginning to fear. The dinner ends. Valentina insists on paying. Outside, she kisses Sarah on both cheeks, shakes your hand while holding eye contact 3 seconds too long, and gets into a black Mercedes that costs more than you'll earn in 5 years. Sarah thinks she's lovely. You don't sleep that night. The next approach is different. She stops by your apartment Sunday morning. You don't know how she has your address. She's holding pastries from a bakery in Little Italy and acting like this is normal. Sarah is in Vermont visiting her parents. Valentina knows this. She knows everything. She sits on your couch, drinks coffee from your cabinet, and tells you she enjoys your company. She says it would make her happy to see you more often. She says she thinks you feel the same way. You tell her you have a girlfriend. You tell her you're not interested. You say it as politely as possible because something in your spine is screaming not to make this woman angry. Her expression doesn't change. She sets down her coffee. She says that's disappointing. She stands, smooths her dress, and walks to your door. Before she leaves, she turns and says your mother lives in Scranton in a house on Maple Street. Your sister teaches at a high school in Allentown. Your father's buried at St. Catherine's Cemetery. She recites this information the way someone reads a grocery list. Then she smiles, thanks you for the coffee, and leaves. You stand in your apartment for 20 minutes trying to process what just happened. The threat wasn't explicit. It didn't need to be. She just demonstrated that your entire family exists within her reach and her awareness, and that reach extends exactly as far as she wants it to. You call your mother that afternoon. She's fine. Mentions a nice Italian woman stopped by yesterday asking for directions, stayed for tea, complimented the house. Your blood temperature drops 10 degrees. That's when you understand the choice isn't whether to be involved with Valentina Russo. The choice is how much damage gets done before you accept what's already been decided. And the clock on that decision has already started counting down. You break up with Sarah 3 days later. You tell her it's not working, that you need space, that you're going through something you can't explain. She cries. You feel like garbage. But keeping her close means putting her in Valentina's crosshairs, and you've already seen what that woman does to people she considers obstacles. Sarah deserves better than becoming collateral damage in whatever sick game this is. A week after the breakup, your mother stops answering her phone. You call 6 times, nothing. You drive to Scranton on a Tuesday morning, hands shaking on the wheel the entire 2 hours. Her house looks normal from the outside. The door is unlocked. You find her in the kitchen. She's been dead for 3 days. The coroner says heart attack, natural causes. She was 58 and had no history of heart problems. You stand in the funeral home and shake hands with relatives who tell you she went peacefully. Valentina sends flowers. White lilies. The card says, with deepest sympathies. You stare at that card for 20 minutes because the handwriting is immaculate and the message is crystal clear. This is what happens when you say, no. Your sister calls you 2 weeks later. She's been let go from her teaching position. Budget cuts, they said. Except 3 other teachers were let go the same day, and all of them had stellar records and all of them were rehired within a month. Just not her. She can't find work anywhere in the district. She's thinking about moving to Pittsburgh. You tell her that's a good idea. You tell her to go far away and don't look back. She asks what's wrong with you. You hang up. Valentina appears at your apartment that Saturday. She's wearing black. She looks stunning. She sits on your couch without being invited and says she heard about your mother. She says loss is difficult. She says she understands grief. She reaches for your hand. You let her take it because fighting seems pointless now. She says she can make the pain go away. She says she can make everything easier. She says all you have to do is stop resisting what's already happening. You ask what she wants from you. She smiles. She says she wants you to have dinner with her. Just dinner. You go to dinner. Then another. Then another. She's charming when she wants to be, telling stories about growing up in Naples, about her father who ran shipping routes that weren't exactly legal, about learning the family business at 14. She makes you laugh. You hate that she makes you laugh. But somewhere between the 3rd dinner and the 10th, the fear starts mixing with something else. Something you don't want to name. She never mentions your mother. She doesn't have to. The flowers at the funeral said everything. But she also sends a check to your sister in Pittsburgh, unsigned, for $30,000. Your sister calls you crying, says a miracle happened, says someone anonymous paid off her student loans. Valentina controls your life with precision, pain and relief, punishment and reward. She's training you the way you'd train a dog, and the worst part is you can feel it happening, and you can't stop it. 6 months in, you're living in her apartment in Hoboken. It's a penthouse with a view of Manhattan that costs more per month than you made in a year at the magazine. Your clothes are in her closet. Your toothbrush is in her bathroom. You didn't decide to move in. It just happened. One night you stayed over, then another, then she had your things brought over while you were at work. She didn't ask. She never asks. You quit your job. She says you don't need it. She's right. She pays for everything, your car, your phone, your existence. You are being kept. The word makes your skin crawl, but it's accurate. You're a possession now, something she owns. The first time she kills someone in front of you, it's a Tuesday. You're at a restaurant in Newark. A man approaches the table, mid-40s, sweating through his shirt. He's apologizing before he even reaches her. He's saying he has the money, he just needs more time. Please, his daughter is sick. Valentina listens. She nods. She signals to the refrigerator-shaped man who is always 6 feet away. The man is escorted outside. You hear 2 pops. Valentina cuts her steak. She asks if you want dessert. You can't eat. She says you'll get used to it. You do. That's the part that terrifies you. You get used to it. The violence becomes background noise. The fear becomes baseline. You stop flinching when she casually mentions having someone's legs broken or their business burned down. You start to understand the logic. The ecosystem. Someone doesn't pay, they get hurt. Someone disrespects her, they disappear. It's simple. It's efficient. It's monstrous. And you're complicit because you're still here. Because somewhere along the way, you stop trying to leave. You tell yourself it's survival. You tell yourself you're trapped. But late at night when she's asleep next to you, her hand resting on your chest, you know the truth. You're not trapped. You're choosing this. You're choosing her. And that realization is more horrifying than anything she's done because it means you've become exactly what she wanted. Broken enough to stay, loyal enough to love her, hers. Year 3, and you're not a journalist anymore. You're not anything you used to be. Your LinkedIn still says freelance writer, but the last article you published was 14 months ago. Nobody hires you. Nobody calls. Valentina made sure of that. One word in the right ear and suddenly every editor in New York has scheduling conflicts. Every pitch gets lost in their inbox. You're unemployable. She did it so quietly you didn't notice until it was done. Your sister stops returning your calls around month 8. You find out why when Valentina mentions it over breakfast. Your sister asked too many questions. Wanted to know where you were, why you never visited. Valentina didn't like the tone, so she sent someone to Pittsburgh. Not to hurt your sister, just to deliver a message. Your sister got the message. She moved to Oregon without telling you. Changed her number. You haven't spoken since. Your father calls once, says he's worried, says people are asking about you. Says maybe you should come home for a while. You tell him you're fine. You tell him you're happy. You tell him not to worry. A week later, his pharmacy gets robbed. 3 men. Ski masks. They take the register and trash the place. Police say it's random. Your father doesn't file insurance, doesn't ask questions. He knows. You know. Valentina kisses your forehead that night and says, family is complicated. The wedding happens on a Saturday in December. You don't plan it. She does. The venue is a restaurant in Little Italy that closes for the day. 50 people attend. You recognize maybe 10. The rest are faces from her world. Men in expensive suits who nod when you pass. Women with sharp eyes who smile and say nothing. Your family isn't there. She didn't invite them. You didn't ask her to. What would you say? Come watch me marry the woman who destroyed your lives. The ceremony is short. The priest is old and nervous and reads from a script Valentina provided. You say the words. She says the words. You kiss. People clap. Somewhere in the back of your mind, a voice screams that this is wrong. You ignore it. You've gotten good at ignoring that voice. The honeymoon is 2 weeks in Sicily. She takes you to her family's village. Stone houses on a hillside overlooking the sea. Everyone knows her name. Old women kiss her cheeks. Old men tip their hats. She introduces you as her husband, and they look at you like you're a curiosity, a specimen. The American who married into this. You eat meals that last 4 hours. You drink wine that tastes like the earth. You sleep in a bed that belonged to her grandmother. At night, she tells you stories about her childhood. Running through olive groves, learning to shoot at 12, her first collection at 15. She makes it sound romantic. Maybe it was. To her. Back in Hoboken, the reality sets in. You're not married to a woman. You're married to an organization. Every dinner is a business meeting. Every phone call is encrypted. Every visitor is screened. The apartment has 3 locks and a camera system that covers every angle. She carries a gun in her purse. You carry the weight of knowing what she does with it. Month 14. You meet her accountant, a man named Sal who looks like a retired math teacher. He shows you spreadsheets, explains the structure, the imports, the distribution networks, the shell companies, the real estate holdings. You're listed as co-owner on half of it. Your name is on mortgages for properties you've never seen, businesses you've never visited. If she goes down, you go down. You're legally bound now, not just married, entangled. You ask her why. Why involve you in this? She says it's insurance. If something happens to her, you inherit everything. You'll take care of it. You say you don't want it. She says you don't get to choose. You chose when you said yes at the restaurant, when you moved in, when you married her. Every decision led here. She's not wrong. The FBI comes on a Tuesday morning. 2 agents, clean suits, polite smiles. They want to ask about your wife's business activities. You lawyer up immediately. The lawyer is hers. He sits next to you and answers every question with variations of, "My client has no knowledge of that." The agents don't push. They're fishing, seeing if you'll bite. You don't. They leave business cards. You burn them. That night, Valentina cooks dinner. Pasta carbonara. She's humming while she works. You sit at the counter and watch her move through the kitchen like nothing happened. Like federal agents didn't just try to flip you. She serves the pasta. She pours the wine. She asks about your day. You tell her it was fine. She smiles. You realize she's testing you. The FBI visit wasn't random. She probably arranged it. Wanted to see if you'd crack. You didn't. You passed. Year 4. Your mother dies, heart attack. Quick and painless, according to the coroner. You fly home for the funeral. Valentina doesn't come. She sends flowers. An arrangement so large it takes up half the funeral home. Everyone stares. Your father won't look at you. Your sister isn't there. You stand alone at the grave and wonder if your mother's heart gave out naturally or if Valentina helped it along. You'll never know. You're too afraid to ask. You stop fighting after that. What's the point? Everyone you loved is gone or scared or dead. The life you had before doesn't exist. This is your life now. Valentina and her world. The violence and the money and the constant low-grade terror of knowing that everything could collapse at any moment. You adapt. Humans are good at that. You adapt to anything if you're in it long enough. She tells you she loves you. You believe her. In her way, she does. It's a possessive love, a consuming love, the kind that doesn't leave room for anything else. You tell her you love her back. You mean it. Somewhere in the wreckage of who you used to be, you found something that feels like love. It's twisted and toxic and probably not what the word was meant to describe, but it's real. You're hers now. Completely. And the terrifying thing is you wouldn't have it any other way. The end comes on a Wednesday. You forget to pick up her dry cleaning. It's such a small thing. You had meetings all day. The cleaners closed early. You meant to go. You just forgot. She doesn't yell. She never yells. She just looks at you across the dinner table with an expression you can't read. Then she nods to herself like she's made a decision. You're in the car 20 minutes later. The refrigerator man is driving. You're in the back seat next to Valentina. She's looking out the window, not speaking. You ask where you're going. She doesn't answer. The fear that's been dormant for months wakes up all at once. The car stops at the docks in Bayonne. Empty warehouses, no witnesses. You understand before the door opens. You want to run, but your legs won't move. She gets out, looks back at you, says she's sorry, but she can't have people thinking she's soft. Can't have anyone believing they can disappoint her without consequences. Even you, especially you. You tell her you love her. She says she knows. She says she loves you too. Then she nods to the refrigerator man. You hear the shot before you feel it. Then you don't feel anything at all. Your body turns up 3 days later in the Passaic River. The investigation goes nowhere. No suspects, no witnesses. Valentina attends your funeral in black Prada. She cries real tears. Maybe she means them, maybe she doesn't. It doesn't matter anymore. You were hers in life. You're hers in death. That's how this story was always going to end. If this one hit different, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.